so much for joining us. I'm Shona from Kozziecom. Today I'm here with the former X Factor winner and the first ever Australian to progress to the final round of the Eurovision Song Contest in 2016, the one and the only Dami Im. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I first met you during a fundraising concert at Chatswood, and what really struck me was the breadth and the diversity of the audiences. You're so loved and adored by people of all walks in life in Australia, and I just wanted to ask you, you've obviously worked really hard to get to where you are today. What's been the most challenging part of your career so far, and how did you overcome that?
Most challenging? I got asked this before and I'm like, which challenge? There's so many challenges every day. Having the strength to get up every day and keep going, I think that's the biggest challenge, just to stay focused and motivated no matter what setbacks you get. I think that's the main kind of challenge.
Do you have at the moment, do you have a go-to, maybe a mantra or something you do every day to help you motivate yourself?
I did, but I forgot.
What did you do this morning to tell yourself, I'm gonna get out of bed today?
Oh man, I had the worst night's sleep, so so sore. Whatever you do, you're gonna have challenges and days where it's like, it's not working out, or I don't know, you just have to keep at it. And the question was, what's the mantra? What's my mantra?
You gotta keep marching on.
Keep
Song plug.
Good. You keep marching on.
I loved the song, by the way. It actually made me get a little goosebumps, especially the photos of your mom, the videos. Really loved it. So you immigrated to Australia at the age of 9 to Brisbane, and you've obviously represented Australia at Eurovision on the global stage. You've performed on tracks like I Am Australian. Has there ever been a time in your life when you've had to wrestle with the identity of being both Korean and Australian?
Yeah, I think that's still something that I'm sometimes confused about. I spent more time living in Australia than, in Korea. But then also I'm very much Korean. Then my citizenship says I'm Australian, and most streamed track is called I Am Australian. So it's like, oh, are you? It's what a title. So yeah, but I think it's just, I don't know, you would, when did you come to Australia?
I was born in Australia.
Oh, yeah. But is that confusing?
Yeah, it was the most confusing when I went back to Korea for the first time, because I was like, this is meant to be somewhere that's my so-called motherland and home, but it doesn't feel like home.
Wow.
But here, where Australia is my home, I sometimes don't feel like it's my home either. So it definitely has that duality.
The right answer is, I'm both Korean and Australian, and we embrace it, and that's cool. But there are moments where you're like, you're always going to be an outsider, They're always not going to understand everything about you. What can you do? You have to embrace it, own it, and just make the most of it, I guess.
What would you say has been one element of your identity or your career where you feel like you have maybe been misunderstood?
One example could be X Factor happened 2013, and I've been signed and doing all this for ages, and then people still go, are you a K-pop singer? I'm like, oh, no. And then you go to Korea and they're like, yeah, pop singer Dami, and so it's just like, I'm like, but K-pop is in Korea, and that's one example where it's like people just don't quite understand or don't know which box to put you in.
Recent singles like Marching On, Paper Dragon, and now Lonely Cactus. One thing I realized while listening to those songs is that it definitely has an element of real and lived experiences. So I wanted to ask you, what kind of season of life are you in now, and how do you feel like that's shaping and coming across in your music?
That's a very good question, because those last the most recent singles that I've been making, they're different to my previous ones, where I just feel more authentic, and I feel like I start to make things that I really love and something that I'm really proud of, as opposed to, what does everybody else want to hear?
It would be such a fine line as an artist, hey? How do you appeal firstly to the masses, but also stay true to what you want to produce and what you want to write? And you are a singer-songwriter, so that process must very much be a part of your everyday, what you're thinking and feeling, and just a part of your life.
you know, it's been tricky just thinking about what everybody else wants from me and what they expect from me. Whereas more recently, I've had the privilege, I guess, and the circumstances where I can make those choices myself and don't have to think about, oh, am I allowed to do this, or what's people going to say? Like, I don't need to think about that so much. Of course I want people to love my songs, but I think that's sort of secondary.
Right. Lonely Cactus, when I first heard it, it's been stuck in my head for the past weeks now, past couple of weeks. It's so catchy. Everyone on my team, I've made them all listen to it, and it's all stuck in their heads too. What was the inspiration behind Lonely Cactus? What message do you hope your listeners will receive through that song?
Yeah, in 2020, just like everyone else, I had a lot of time at home. And I became really obsessed with cacti. And I thought, okay, I want to write a song about a cactus. So that's literally where the first idea came from. And then basically the song's about wanting to have a connection with other people, but at the same time wanting to be left alone. You know, it's hard being with other people. Like, it's so much more easier when you're just by yourself doing whatever you want to do. I guess what I want people to get from it, I didn't want it to sound super serious. Like, it's got a serious message, but I wanted it to be like easy to listen and fun and happy and earwormy. But then if you really listen closely, there's a deeper layer to it about being lonely and being a prickly person. And
I definitely know I can be a very prickly person at times.
Really?
Especially when when I feel like the loneliness, you can get really used to it. And then that can put you in a really dangerous position where you stop wanting to reach out to people and stop becoming vulnerable. You've got to keep putting yourself in that place.
Yeah.
You're trying to train that vulnerability.
It's so easy to just be at home. Like, I think COVID's training us to just sit at home and be comfortable, be self-sufficient. And then you try and get back out and like, do I really have to?
Well, a lot of people see you as a trailblazer. Especially, I know it's a big term, but especially for young Korean Australians who are in the creative industry, a lot of people look to you as, the first one through the door, the first one to smash through the glass ceiling. What kind of advice would you give to young Korean Australians out there who are wanting to do what they love?
These days, it's so cool to be different, right? And cool to be who you are, as cliche as that is. Being a Korean Australian it's a unique thing. Like, there's not a whole heap of people in that same position, and of course it comes with challenges where people confuse you for a K-pop person or whatever. But I think that's also a strength, and if you can just find what you're good at, what your niche is with your whatever art you're making or creative outlet, then I think there's a really great opportunity to share that with the world. And now with social media and everything, it's so easy to share it with everybody. So just be yourself and enjoy the process and go with it.
Yeah, I love it. It's hard to be yourself, especially in a world, like you said, where they try to box you into specific categories. Are you a Korean K-pop star? Are you an Australian pop star? Which one are you? So it definitely is a challenge to be yourself, but we love that you're being yourself and you're showing us that it's okay to be yourself. So thank you so much for your work and for your inspirational music. Just as a final question, what are you looking forward to most in 2021, and how can we support you as a community?
Well, 2021, I am looking to release an album at some point this year. and I'm touring. Anybody that's bought a ticket to my shows or bought my album, stream my song, or leave a comment on any of my social media platforms, that's a big help, and I always appreciate that support.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dami. We've gotten you a little something. It is a cactus!
Oh my gosh! Oh, thank you so much.
Congratulations on the release of your latest song.
So cute.
Lonely Cactus.
Thank you. I'm gonna eat it.
Oh, you're gonna eat it?
No, I won't. I promise. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
That you had someone